What's going on, everybody?
Cheers.
Welcome back to the Juice, man. It's been a little bit. It's not really going to come as a surprise to anybody that listens to our podcast. Has been a little bit.
Does anybody even still listen? Anybody out there? Hello.
Probably not. Yeah, we suck, man. We suck at getting this thing out and doing it on time. We say this every time, so we're not even going to promise.
No promises.
That we're going to start doing it more. I will say that when tournament season comes around, maybe when we're together a little bit more in January.
Still probably not.
Yeah, January we'll have some.
Yeah, still probably not.
But
well, yeah, we'll be
either way. We are filming one today. That's what it's about.
Yeah,
film one a day, and we're gonna have
we got a guest.
Yeah, we got a guest today, and it's gonna be Mr. Ben Milliken.
Ben Milliken,
one of the, I'd say, definitely one of the biggest YouTubers as far as the bass fishing scene goes.
Yeah, no doubt.
And he just announced that he's fishing the Bassmaster Opens next season, all 9. So it'd be cool to kind of talk to him about that because this is a big leap for him.
Yeah.
Just going from
interesting guy, catch a lot of big fish. I'm sure you guys have seen his videos.
Right. And if not, you'll get to learn some more about him today. And then if you haven't, then maybe get to go check out his channel.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be a really good episode. Gonna get his opinions and views on kind of the open scene and what attracted him.
Yeah, I'm really curious to hear what he's got to say on why he decided to shift gears and go back into the tournament scene. Because I've watched some of his videos. I saw the one where he was done with tournament fishing. Now he's jumping into the Shark Tank.
The Shark Tank, yeah, big jump, like I said.
But before we get on, let's circle back to you because I mean I think if I recall, it's been a while, so I don't really remember.
But beginning of October.
Yeah. The last episode we were kind of talking about your trajectory on what you were going to do, and I know a lot's happened since then.
Yeah, well, since then the deadline came up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the deadline for both decisions was
they're a week apart.
Right after Gunnersville, Toyota Series Championship on Gunnersville. So whatever that was, not that long ago, just a few weeks that there's a deadline.
First week in November.
Whether you had to decide if you're going to fish, or for myself, fish the Opens or the Invitationals, and as well as you had a decision as well to fish the Opens.
Mine was easier, whether to go to the Opens or not.
Yeah, I announced it on social media or whatever, and really it came down to me what my sponsors were going to be able to do, right? Like, without them, I couldn't go pretty much at all. Like, it wasn't going to be possible. So once I found out that I would get what I needed, my goal and my mark to go to the Invitationals, that's what route I decided to go.
Yeah.
So really it's pretty simple. I don't have like a spreadsheet or numbers. I mean, I didn't really look at it. To me, it was really simple. I got the invite. I felt like I earned the invite. So I told myself if I get the money to cover it, I will go do that. I feel like there's just a little bit more money to be made. Well, there's definitely more money to be made if it's covered through the Invitationals rather than the Opens. We all know the Opens payout isn't great. But like I said, only if it was covered. Because if it wasn't really, I don't want to say covered, but if you didn't have help to for the Invitationals route, it just wasn't really worth it,
Yeah, big $5,000 entry fee. Is that what it is?
Yeah, $5,000 a tournament, and it's $30,000 overall for entry fees alone. So you guys know traveling costs a lot of money. So
yeah,
you're
going invitational.
Yeah, I went that route. Yeah, and that's as simple as it gets for me. That was my reasoning behind it. And also because my only other option was the Opens, like we're talking about, and also the Opens ain't going anywhere. So I'm gonna go give it a year, and if things go right, maybe we stay over there. If I don't like some things over there, then I just come back and I'll fish the Opens. That's my plan.
Cool deal.
So that's it.
Congrats.
I guess. Do you say congrats?
I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Good job.
No, it isn't. Honestly, it is
it's
definitely a step.
It's an accomplishment to qualify
right
for the former pro circuit, now
Correct.
the invitational. So no doubt on that.
Yeah, but really I don't really look at it as that as an accomplishment. Like, I just feel like really haven't accomplished anything, until you could perform at that level and the Opens level as well. And if you start performing at that level, then it really,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Doesn't matter. So
It did seem like, we talked about in the last episode about how we'll be curious to see how many guys are going to fish all 9 opens, how many guys are going to go to the invitationals. And it seems like, the numbers kind of surprised me a little bit. Again, we don't know these full numbers. I heard on Luke Duncan's podcast, Low Budget Live, that rumor he heard, which, he's pretty tied into this stuff. So I trust his rumor mill, but 170 plus anglers fishing all 9 opens.
Yeah, which is a lot.
That's a lot. Compared to 83 last year.
Yeah, and I think it was 86 or something.
Yeah, 80s.
But yeah, I was thinking 120 would be topped.
And so a lot of those guys are coming from the pro circuit.
Yeah, and a few guys, just a few from the BBT, Bobby Lane, Ish Monroe.
Yeah.
There's probably going to be guys, it's been fishing opens for a while, continue to do so.
Yeah, there's been guys been fishing them honestly for a long time, several years, like a decade plus.
I mean, you add in some of the new guys that are like, hey, I kind of do like the new format. You got to fish all 9 again. I feel like it gives me a better shot. So that's a whole new group of anglers that sees it there. You're pulling guys from the pro circuit. You're pulling guys from a little bit everywhere. So, I mean, 170 is high. I mean,
more than I expected.
Well, it is more than I expected, and that's definitely not going to make it, any easier.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, you're one of them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Go swim with the sharks.
That's awesome, man. Like I said, it's not going to make it any easier, but at the same time, me and you were discussing earlier at lunch, it's like out of the 170, how many do you think actually finish?
How many will fish all of them? I don't know, man. I'm not calling anybody quitters out there, and I hope, we've all been in those moments where we're like, what am I doing? I want to go home.
Well, once you're out of the points race, I mean, I guess you still fish for that classic spot.
Yeah. That's what's going to keep a lot of guys going for sure. But there'll be some guys drop off. They're willing to lose the $800 deposit per event.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the cheapest part of it.
Well, think about New York. If you're out of points by the time you get to New York, that's a massive travel burden.
Yeah, spend $800 or spend all the
another $3,000 in travel just to go up there.
Yeah. I think you still end with quite a few, but you won't end with.
No, I'd be surprised if there's 100 that fish that actually show up and fish
to the 9th event.
Mm. Anyway, let's get one of the 170 on.
Yeah, Mr. Ben Milliken.
Yeah, he's gonna make it well documented, I'm sure. We'll get into all that. Omaha, Nebraska is where his phone says he's from.
Nice.
What's going on, guys?
What's going on, man? We were just discussing a little bit about you. We kind of talked about the opens a little bit, and we talked about the invitationals, and we kind of were just telling everybody. Of course, you told everyone on social media about your announcement of fishing the opens, and that's one thing we're kind of gonna get into today. But we just want to kind of give you a minute to kind of tell us about your start and how all this started. Not just the tournament fishing or YouTube. Just kind of take us back, give us a short summary, and then we can just dive into the rest from there if you'd like.
Yeah, for sure. I'll try to give you guys the kind of short version.
Right.
First off, thanks a ton for having me on, guys. I listened to your podcast for a while, and you've had a lot of great anglers and people from the industry on here. So thanks for taking the time to have me on here.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I grew up in Nebraska, actually, and was born and raised there, and I lived there until actually about 18 months ago. I never lived anywhere else. And so that's really where I got my start in fishing, kind of the same way a lot of people do, through my dad and my grandpa taking me constantly, putting up with my nonsense, tying knots for me, teaching me the basics of fishing. But neither of them were really a serious angler. And so it really was the fundamentals of fishing. But that's extremely important to learn. And back in Nebraska, where there isn't a lot of bass fishing culture, it was more so multi-species stuff. So I grew up, I was fishing for bass, but also panfish, catfish, walleye, a little bit of everything. I wanted to catch all of it, live bait, lures, whatever. It didn't matter. And so I got kind of a little bit older, and sports were a huge part of my life. I played 4 sports in high school, and I was super serious with that. So fishing kind of got the back seat a little bit, but I got out as much as I could. And then when I got to college, I was actually I went to college and was playing sports, and my buddy started a fishing club, and I didn't know anything about it. I saw something about him, just an online fishing forum, and I kind of got involved with it that way, and met him, my buddy Tony, and I went to one of the meetings, and we got me set up for my first tournament. And I rolled down to Lake Dardanelle with my couple spinning rods with my buddy, and we'd never fished a tournament before, and just got my teeth absolutely kicked in. Weather was terrible. Weren't prepared for it at all. In the spring, in March, I believe it was. But I was hooked on it after that point. So that's kind of where the tournament bug got started. I played baseball for 2 years in college, and then kind of got burned out on that. But I've always been extremely competitive through sports. And so, yeah, tournament fishing really became something that was an outlet for my competitiveness. And so that got me a lot more into it. I ended up going to a different university when I was done playing baseball, and started a fishing club there, and fished college fishing for 3 years, I believe. And we had some success with it. It was fun. I fished local stuff along the way, probably 20 to 25 local tournaments a year. And which is actually, it's a lot up
that's
north.
pretty good amount.
Yeah, it is.
Your season's like April to September,
right?
As opposed to down here. Yeah. So at that point, I had a son and a serious girlfriend when I got done with college, got my degree, and pretty much had no choice but to get a real job with my degree. And so I had to go that route to pay the bills, and we got a house, and I was working the desk job, and that realized pretty quick, as many dreams as I had to fish professionally and have a job in the fishing industry, you don't get 6, 7, 8, 12 weeks off of work at a real job.
No.
So, yeah, so luckily, just through fishing some of the local tournaments, I wasn't really sure how it was going to be possible to make this happen. I just, kind of set it aside for future Ben. But I ran into a dude that was doing the YouTube fishing video thing. I didn't know anything about it. I'd seen some stuff on YouTube, but starting to make a living at it and growing a little bit. So he kind of showed me how it worked, and basically just the fundamentals of YouTube as well. And I decided that I was going to try that. So got a GoPro camera, and started filming some of my stuff. I kind of filmed a couple garage type videos. I did like a how to repair a broken rod guide, and then I did another video like 2 months later, like how to just modifications you can make to spoons, spoon fishing, like flutter spoons. And It's kind of funny, I remember that. And then I didn't touch it for like 6 months, and I went back and looked at it, and I was like, oh, well, those videos have like 40,000 views somehow, and I have like a couple thousand subscribers. I don't even know what that means. And this was like seven years ago, I think.
Okay.
And so I was like, all right.
So were you monetized at that point?
No, I wasn't monetized at all. I didn't know anything about monetization, or if it was even possible. But it was actually after I did those couple videos, I met the dude that was doing the YouTube videos, and started seeing how it was possible to make a living doing it. And at that point, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to give this a try. And so I started off kind of just making videos on the weekend, because it was like February or March. We had ice on our lakes, and we just drove down to the Lake of the Ozarks a few times. Just fished some local stuff, and I started seeing people were actually really gravitating towards it, because it was back in the infancy of YouTube, before there was 7 million YouTube channels in the fishing industry.
Everybody with a GoPro.
Definitely changed.
Exactly, man. It's so much different, but it was almost like people couldn't get enough of it, just because there was nothing out there hardly. That wasn't just like Joe pro tournament fisherman talking for 30 seconds about a new bait that was released. There was like no fishing content out there, pretty much. Which is pretty wild, but to think about now. So I started getting some traction on that, and started actually monetize my channel, and started making some money with it. I didn't know anything about it, but I was like, damn, if I'm making money doing this, and I'm making 2 videos a week on the weekend and after work when I have an hour of daylight left, like what if I did it 7 days a week? And my wife graduated college that summer, and so she was like, all right, go for it. And we kind of set some some benchmarks of where I needed to be to kind of keep doing it after a year or so, to see if it was actually going to work, and got to those extremely quickly. Back in those days, I could put out like 5 to 7 videos a week. It seemed like, I did that for like 3 years. And it grew like crazy, man, once I started putting all my time and effort into it. And that was kind of, I know you guys have relationships, and it's obviously a big culture down here with 6 Sense Fishing. So I actually met Casey from 6 Sense when I was had my real job, and I was randomly traveled down to Houston for a job to sit on a job site as a project manager, and hit him up. And I had been talking with him for a couple months because he hooked me up with a discount deal since I was fishing tournaments with his baits. And I was like, hey, I'm down here. Is there any way I can check the shop out? And he's like, yeah, no problem. So I went over, checked out the shop. It was just him by himself at that point. I think he had the Crush 50X, the 300 DD, and Flat 75 at that point. And that was it.
I remember those days.
Yeah, those days were crazy, man. He was he didn't know what he wanted to do with it, but it was starting to take off a little bit. And that was like a kidney candy store, because I had done some on the side. I had done a lot of bait tackle building to make some extra money for tournaments and stuff. So I was big into airbrushing and making my own jigs and selling them kind of on the DL on the side, you know. But yeah, I walked into his office and saw the thousands of custom painted baits, and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. But we kind of just kept in touch, and we built our relationship along the way. I kind of grew at the same rate 6 Sense did, and me and Casey always talked about all different types of bait designs and feedback and the social media movement, as far as where everything was going in the industry.
Yeah.
And when I told him I was going to do the YouTube thing full time, he's like, let me know how I can help, man. I'm behind you. I support you. I think you're crazy, but I can, I trust you, and I believe you if you think that's what's going to work. And I guess that's a short story long of how I kind of grew into where I'm at now in my relationship with 6 Sense. But for those that I guess probably don't know my story, it's now grown to the point where I have an ownership role with 6 Sense, and I work with product development there. That's a big part of why we moved down to Texas in the Houston area about 18 months ago, along with, I heard there's a couple bass down here that are big, so I couldn't miss out on that.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so that's going to be my follow-up is the move down to Texas. So, first of all, congratulations on even finding bass in Nebraska. I didn't know they had them up there. And then, turning it into a career. I mean,
yeah.
That's pretty wild. I mean, you think about how many young guys there are down here that love bass fishing, that grow up bass fishing, and yourself from Nebraska.
Yeah.
Comes down from the Great White North.
It's crazy, the culture down here. Anytime I traveled anywhere and saw the different cultures of fishing, no matter what species in different parts of the country, I was always very, not jealous, but I was just, I was pretty amazed by it as someone. I literally, since I was like 5, 6 years old, outside of being really big into sports, I spent every second, every minute that I was awake, plus minutes when I should have been asleep, maybe in school and stuff, thinking about fishing, researching fishing and bass fishing. It's all I cared about. And so, yeah, this move's been awesome for me. It's been a challenging one, obviously, living somewhere for 31 years and then just up and moving everything is I can make a whole podcast about just doing that.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's crazy, man. And of course the fisheries are a lot different down here, but I'm proud of where I came from. And honestly, growing up fishing in Nebraska and Iowa and Missouri and Kansas and South Dakota and Minnesota, that was a great learning ground for me, because there was so many different types of fisheries, not giant ones necessarily, but fisheries that apply to a lot of different situations that I think has really made me a more versatile fisherman.
Yeah. So now that you've been down here, this might be a silly question. What's your favorite lake?
Oh God!
That you're willing. Well, I was gonna say you probably would have one that you don't want to talk about.
Oh man, I got like 5 I don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, I fish so many small bodies of water down here that I can't talk about them, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I know everyone thinks that OH Ivy is probably my favorite lake. Obviously, that's a cool lake. It's at the point now where I don't think it's impressive or cool for people that are catching 10-pounders there, just because of how many are in that fishery, and because most people can only do it a couple months of the year, even the so to be called experts. But yeah, there's a lot of small ones down here that I really enjoy, and I'll be straight up with you guys. I have not put the time in that I need to learn Rayburn and Toledo Bend, strictly because, or Conroe even for that matter, which I live close to, strictly because I have so much more fun fishing the smaller bodies of water that make for some more interesting content a lot of times.
Right. It's totally different angle that you're looking for. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So
that's been a struggle for me. And Wyatt knows this from my conversations with him. Like, I'm a tournament dude. That's what I want to do. But it takes time, as you guys know, to go figure out somewhere like Rayburn. And I think a lot of you guys take it kind of for granted with all the experience you have on that lake in Toledo. That place is it's not only giant, but it's just different than anywhere that I've fished in the north, really. Just the way that the fish set up and act, especially during the tough times of the year. If they're not really on like the drains in the grass like they should be, or they've just moved out to some of the offshore stuff, it can be such a challenging lake. And like you're saying, man, it's tough for me to go scan around for 4 days and not get a video when I can go make money on some of the smaller fisheries, just blasting them. So yeah,
I agree. I will say that Rayburn was in just such a funk. I was telling Milliken, like, he's kind of hit it at a really bad time too. Like, Rayburn's going through such
You're catching it on a down cycle right now, for sure.
It really was this year, but it is a challenging fishery.
I really hope so.
No. Rayburn and Toledo can humble you very quickly. The fish can just be like, they're very unique fisheries. You can fish it a bunch of different ways, but when they're bad, they're bad for everybody.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, the grass is starting to come back. Definitely, there's a lot of grass in the lake, but it's you can tell it's a weird time since midsummer to now. I think it's probably improving now. I haven't been there a long time, but definitely a tough time with lack of grass, water low, pressure, just everything.
Yeah,
pressure
absolutely.
for the last couple of years without grass. That is.
Yeah, if it catches a significant amount of rain, if it comes up 2-3 feet, not even back up to full pool, it'll be fire.
I would think so.
It'll be nuts. Everybody will catch 20 pounds.
I would think so.
Good. I like it.
Yeah, man.
I guess we could transition to.
Well, so tournament guy, tell us about. So I've seen videos where you've said, you kind of get tired of the tournament scene. I can understand why. Guys, we are the bass fishermen are the biggest whiners. We just complain. We either hate on people or we whine or we complain or something. Yeah. And so I've seen some of those videos where you've had some frustrations in tournament fishing, and then now you're going just head first into the shark tank, as we were calling it earlier.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, you got to take it for a grain of salt. Obviously, it's difficult for me to put, tournament winning spots and everything on my videos. And I know that going in, that I am making that aware to the public for my financial gain. But it also makes good television when there's a little controversy, So you got to kind of hype that up a little bit.
No doubt.
But yeah, that's been a lot of my my draw towards the Opens. It was a thing in the past where I've always felt like through fishing local, regional, and even some of the championship national style tournaments, my strength and any type of advantage I could gain would be in that a fishery where people have not had a lot of local advantage on that body of water. And if the tournaments were longer, multiple day tournaments, I have an advantage. And if the tournaments were nationwide and the pre-fishing was limited, I would have an advantage. And so when the open schedule came out and the rules changed this year, all of those things came into play and interested me big time, where there's now a limit on the practice days, which I understand. You're not going to get a lot of benefit from pre-fishing 14 to 30 days before a tournament like a lot of the guys were doing, but it makes a huge difference on the fishery. And I don't think it necessarily always brings the cream to the top when a fishery is pounded by 200 people for 30 days prior to an event, and it's already a fishery that fishes small at the bad time of the year. I mean, obviously the best anglers are going to win in the end, but I'm super, super happy that they made that off limits period. 5 days is still a lot of official practice, but I was happy about that. And then obviously, the wanting to fish professionally, it's most people's or a lot of people's dream to fish the Elite Series or the Bass Pro Tour. Those are the only places unless you have a major fishing culture like we do down here in Rayburn and Conroe and Toledo. That's about the only places that you can go make a good living in the industry. And so obviously the Elite Series has been a goal forever. Maybe the Bassmaster Classic even more.
Yeah.
But having to fish all 9, I feel like helps me as well. But that's not to say I think any of it's going to be easy. I could literally, I know it's entirely possible I could fish the Opens for 20 years and never sniff a top 9 in points. But regardless, I'm really happy with it. I love the schedule as well. There's giant bodies of water that I think are at great times of the year where there's going to be a lot of things going on or multiple things going on at these fisheries. And so that excites me so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they finally kind of got it right on that deal, man. Cause they've kind of scheduled some of these places. Well, first of all, some of the fisheries are just terrible. But then even some of the better fishes they go to is just at the wrong time. And
well,
this schedule finally kind of started to
it's a step in the right direction.
It definitely is. It definitely is.
Not a big fan of the Toledo in April one.
Well, you'll get over it. I think it'll be okay.
Man, I haven't been on Toledo Bend, so that's probably the one I am most worried about, to be honest. And it's funny because it's the only one within 7 hours of my house.
I know it's like for me too. It's 30-minute drive from my house. I'm like,
I thought they did a pretty good job.
No, the schedule's great compared to previous years.
Even ending in Florida in the fall is going to be a smash fest.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah.
But like time to go there.
The river, St. Lawrence River, they're like a month late, right?
What time are they going?
July. June is better, right? June is when you see those real big bags.
They'll still be good.
And then I think because
they'll be big bags then, I think.
Yeah,
I think so.
I mean, it's all
it's a St. Lawrence
relative,
River.
right? It's gonna be great. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but like if you watch the Elites this year when they went there it was June, right? They were just wrecking them, shattering records. 100-pound stringers, 100-pound 4-day record. But
I think that was more weather related, though.
Oh, absolutely,
no doubt. There's so many variables.
Is the Open launching out of Clayton by chance?
No, we're going out of Waddington, so I think we're gonna be restricted.
Okay, then y'all can't even go to Ontario.
Can't even go to Erie.
You mean Ontario?
Ontario.
You can go to Ontario.
Oh, you can.
I don't know if it's restricted. It's 80 miles away, but
okay. Usually you have to launch out of Clayton for that to be a reasonable, because like MLF went out of Messina or whatever it was this year, and that was actually Ontario was off limits. That's why you saw 21 pounds a day being extremely good.
That's really solid, I think, at that time of
absolutely.
But no, it's definitely a step in the right direction. They're way better. We're not going to Arkansas River or what was that?
Yeah, exactly. Ross
Barnett or the Red. Come on, man. That's where I had to go this year. It was miserable, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man. I can't even imagine scheduling the Red River these days. It just sounds like a nightmare.
Casino money.
It's a controversy every time we go there.
It's all casino money. Yeah. That's why tournaments go there.
Well, I'd heard from, I'm not going to say a name, but someone prominent in the bass fishing industry, that the reason that they're able to go to some better and new fisheries this year was in regards to not having a deal with Bass Pro Shops to have to be near a Bass Pro Shops location. And now it is maybe sponsored by Mossy Oak, is it? They can spread out. I think that's what limited the Opens.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually. Didn't they used to do the final day weigh-in at a Bass Pro Shop on some of the Opens?
Something to that matter.
Something like that.
Yeah. They had to be within so many miles, the weigh-in facility did.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
I guess they got enough of a built now. Yeah.
So,
dang, no kidding.
So I think it's obviously I know the answer, but if you qualify for the Elites, you go.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Unless something comes up that I don't expect, of course, but yes.
Okay, I didn't know how that would affect I guess I was thinking how would that affect your YouTube deal, but I guess that would be even better, maybe in a sense, to have all that on film.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's definitely something that there's definitely give and take with the YouTube thing in my career in YouTube. But like I've told people that are close to me, and I talked about when I was on the Bass Talk Live the other day, like I've made money doing this, and I enjoy what I do for a living. I love teaching people how to fish. I love going to small bodies of water and not being restricted to a tournament schedule that sucks, like a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Not us necessarily with the Opens being so good next year, but I've done that. I enjoy that, but I'm a tournament guy. I'm a competitor. I'm still going to film my tournaments get as much content as possible. But I care a lot more about the respect of fellow anglers and in the industry than I do about getting likes, comments, views, notoriety from that stuff. Even though I think a lot of people get that confused sometimes, because obviously I am trying to get likes and views. So I don't know.
I was just gonna kind of say that kind of just comes with it, you know, like.
Yeah,
but no,
that's I'm not gonna not try to.
Yeah, right,
but
right.
Like if I never made another YouTube video again, like if I qualified for the Elite Series and I decided it was best to never make another YouTube video again because I could make a better living doing just the tournaments, then I would do that in a heartbeat, man.
Yeah.
I would. I'm not. Like I said, I'm a tournament guy. I love to compete. That's what I'm after.
Yeah, no doubt. Man, I think the content's going to be great. It's funny that, you know, you're actually doing this, because I've had this conversation. Wyatt and I even had this conversation. I was like, dude, let's do the Opens. And I've always wanted to see somebody really showcase, kind of create a series on what it actually takes to make it professionally. And, you know, I got to say, I think you're going to do a good job. There's a ton of content to be had there, and somebody doing it the right way. You know, I'm not a YouTuber, so I don't, you know, Wyatt and I've had this conversation before. It's like, but I would love to watch somebody at least to show what it takes to do that.
So he'll do a better, I don't want to say a better, but Cooper Gallant put a series up this year of him chasing all 9 Opens, and he made the Elites this year.
I didn't even know that.
But it was just kind of him filming, so it wasn't really like an in-depth look. Like, it wasn't like a Polinick in-depth look video. You know what I mean? Like, like Ben, yours will be that way. You know, like you'll see the ins and outs more on yours because it was a little, you know what I'm saying? But it kind of did showcase a little bit. But I think yours will be more in depth, and I don't mean that in a bad way towards Cooper.
And I haven't watched any of his because I don't spend much time watching
videos
on YouTube, but I really would like to watch that. I'll have to check out and see how he did it and kind of take what I can from that and obviously put my own twist on it.
He was, but I'll say I'll talk to Coop at Ross Barnett, really good dude, extremely dedicated, and obviously he earned it this year. But
I've heard that. Very hard worker.
Yeah, he'll do well. He'll do well.
That's just hearing that he did that. I heard he was doing video stuff, but so many people do. But just hearing that he did that, on top of what I've heard from so many people about how many hours and how much time he puts in practicing and fishing, that's super impressive to me, to someone that knows how long it takes. I mean, I'm like miserable today and 2 days ago because I'm sitting in my office and I have to edit videos. And this is on top of my editor and my camera guy. He's also editing videos. I just want to be out there fishing. It just takes so damn much time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people lose that. You know, I think a lot of people don't see that. Like, he just gets to fish and make money. It's like, bro. Dude, that's the reason I don't film. Man. Like, people have asked me, they're like, man, why don't you start a YouTube channel? Or why don't you film? It's like, dude, because it's a lot of work. Like, it's when I get done after a freaking 12-hour day on the water, when I've been working my butt off, I just want to get home, eat, and go to sleep and get ready for the next day. I don't want to have to edit. You know, like, it's a lot.
Of course. And I mean, at this point, I mean, I have 2 people reach out to me the last 2 days that are buddies that are asking, you know, I'm thinking about getting heavily into YouTube and starting to post fishing content and starting to make fishing videos. What do you think I should do to get into it? What's the best route? What's the best type of video to grow our following? And I'm just like, I don't even know, honestly. It's so hard these days. I wouldn't recommend anybody do it. I'm not trying to discourage people from from wanting to do it because they're competition to me or something like that. I flat out, man, like I don't know how you start right now and do anything with it. You pretty much have to be financially independently wealthy to get started right now, because you would probably have to put out, I mean, you need to work 12 to 15 hours a day and be willing to not make any money doing it for a year and a half, 2 years before you'll see anything, to be honest. Like that's what it's going to take. And that's if you're really good and it's going to work out for you in the end. Like,
and people enjoy your content.
Man, it's so crazy. People have to gravitate towards it for whatever reason. So
wild.
Man, it's wild. I wouldn't recommend anybody try it, but I'm always for more people getting into the sport and learning. So I can't say not to do it, but
we definitely want to grow.
And going back to your question about me filming my stuff, I'm honestly my biggest focus is going to have to be telling the story and providing content when I didn't have a good day. That's going to be very difficult for me, and I need to really focus on that, because it's going to be such a cool story when I sit back and take myself away from it. Like, I've been providing content to this audience for 6 years full time, at least 4 videos a week for 6 years, and every single video has had comments. You should hop in the Opens. I want to see how you would do against professional fishermen. Why don't you fish professionally? And to actually be able to do that right now is really a cool thing for me, for those people. But I fished 2 tournaments over the weekend. My buddy randomly hit me up. He's like, come up here and we'll catch some glide bait fish in this tournament. I've been catching them good at bull shoals and 10 killer in Arkansas, Missouri last weekend. So I was like, screw it, I'll do it. So I drove 8 hours up there overnight, and we fished both of them. Man, the last day of the tournament, at 10 killer, the last day, I lost like a 4-pound smallmouth, and we lost the tournament because of it. And I was so pissed off, I couldn't talk for 4 hours on the way home. Just a little local tournament I didn't care about at all. I wanted, I'm so competitive that, man, it's going to be tough for me to swallow my pride and put a smile on my face. And that's something I really I respect about Palaniuk. Not that he has many bad days, but he is so good with his attitude. Man, it's just Wyatt, and I don't know how you fish, Shane, but Wyatt, I know you fish with forward-facing sonar a lot and stuff. I'm not the type of person that can be like 70, 80, 90% invested in what I'm doing with that and be successful. Like, I have to be all in from when that trolling motor touches the water until I come off the water. And a lot of times preparing too with my baits and my tackle and my weighting of my baits and everything, that it's so hard to film any valuable content at that point. Oh man, it's going to be a challenge, but I mean, I'm so excited for it.
I think the people, especially the guys that have been following you for as long as they have, will appreciate it though, man. And
it's such some new followers too.
Absolutely, it is such a.
Of course,
it's such an unpredictable. Like, I just talking about being frustrated at that tournament. My mind immediately flashed back to the Open here at Rayburn after day one, and you can ask Shane. I was not happy. Like, it was a very tough tournament. Combs ended up winning that one with 44 pounds or something.
47.
Not a lot. So it was very bad. But after that day one weigh-in, I didn't have a limit, and I'm sitting there in my boat, and I'm like, I got like tears in my eyes, man. Like, I'm upset. Like, I'm not doing well. And I told Shane, I'm like, dude, I don't even want to weigh these things in, bro. Like, I am not doing well, you know. So it takes a toll on you, and that doesn't matter who you are. I mean, BP to the guy that's fishing a Thursday evening at a tournament, you know. It just takes a wear and tear on you. I think if you just be real and show that on your footage, which I know you will, I think people appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah, I think so too. I just gotta tell Cole, the camera guy, that when I tell him to go F himself and take the camera out of my face, don't film this, that he needs to be filming it.
He'll be like, wait, do I film or do I not film?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you being serious?
Wait, do you want me to go F myself right now?
Or of the year, no matter what, you have to film it. What do you want to do?
No, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you need to showcase that, man, because that's a lot of what the media does, and even the organizations themselves, what they promote is the glory, right? They show everybody hoisting the trophy, hoisting the check. who's on top, who's the champ.
Yeah.
Nobody really talks about the other 150 dudes that had a really bad day.
Yes.
Had a bad week. And
Yep.
in bass fishing, tournament fishing particularly, you have to be able to take a lick.
Yes.
You're going to take someone on the chin.
Yep.
So.
Yep, for sure. I mean, that's really why this whole social media fishing thing grew so fast, is because the tournament fishing professional cookie cutter guy type of content, the very conservative, very scripted type of sponsored content, people didn't gravitate towards that. And so really tournament fishing, I mean, if outside of college and high school fishing organizations starting, I don't think tournament fishing has grown a ton the last decade, or 20 years for that matter, simply because it's getting more expensive. It's alienating people from getting into the sport without the high school and college fishing programs, of course, people that are older than that. And so they relate a lot more to the real content. And so obviously that's what we're going to try to portray.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the only route to go. So that's awesome.
For sure.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man.
I would hate, dude, just side note right here, I would hate for somebody to have a hidden camera on me when I'm in my truck driving home 12 hours from a tournament, because I'm just not saying some very good things and not thinking very good thoughts. And all it takes is getting home and just settling back in on your home pond at Rayburn, or, some little lakes around the house, catching a few, and you get back in your zone. You're like, okay, this is why I do it.
Yeah, isn't that crazy how fast it can go both directions with tournament fishing, man? You or even just any bad day on the water. You get done fishing, you have a tough day, a tough trip, tough weekend, tough tournament, and you literally want to get out of fishing and never touch a rod and reel again for about an hour, 2 hours on the drive. And then all of a sudden, your mind clears up a little bit, and then 2 hours later you start texting your buddies, calling your buddies, like, when's the next huge embarrassing failure? but then it goes the other way too. You win a big tournament, and you're on that high, and it's like that lasts a couple hours, and then you're starting to think like, oh man, I should hop in that tournament. Oh, I wonder when there's another tournament on this lake. I should get in that one. What can I do for that one?
Yeah, right.
And it's just
that's it, man.
It's all over again.
That's the world we live in.
It is, man.
Yes, it is.
Well, anything else you got for us, Mr. Frankens?
Man, I'm trying to. That was a lot. That was a lot of good stuff there,
man. I think we highlighted some good stuff there.
Yeah.
What are you going to do next year? Tell
me
about your decision.
I kind of talked about that at the beginning of the podcast before we called you, but I decided to take the invitation to the invitationals, and my reasoning for it was real. I think it's real simple, man. Like, first thing being, like, I feel like I earned it. Even though I think I qualified for the pro circuit, not the invitationals, but that's besides the point.
Yeah,
I kind of just got to take what they're given, and I feel like I earned the right. And secondly, my sponsors were probably the biggest part of it. I was like, look, I got a number in mind. If I get to this mark, then I'm going to go. And thankfully, man, I have to thank my sponsors big time for this. I got to that mark to make it reasonable, to where if, you do cut a check at one of these events, it's actually making money, not just covering it,
Of course.
And then the final reason was kind of like, hey, man, if I'm choosing between the invitationals and the opens, if I'm not happy at the end of this next season, the opens ain't going anywhere. They're always going to be there, and I can just come back to it.
Absolutely.
Just for now, as a younger guy, maybe if I can get some things going this next season, just get myself a little bit more established in the industry. To maybe make some moves later on in the future.
Yeah, 100%. That's I'm pulling for you, man. That's a great route to go. I think a lot of people rush into it way too quickly as well. I'm very happy that I'm 33 now. I've wanted to do this, and I've been so close to just like saying F it and quitting my job and just spending it with all my savings for 10 years. And I'm so glad I did, and I'm so glad I waited, because it's not good financially. Like, you can't make money at the AAA level really, unless you're one or two guys make money every year probably that don't have like unbelievable sponsor backing, that is, of course. But Yeah, man. I think that's something big that needs to change in the sport. I think obviously the payouts need to become higher. I don't know who needs to make moves with television deals or media deals, but it's definitely a tough landscape to navigate qualifying through the AAA route these days.
Yes, it is. It's
Did you guys talk about, or did you hear how many anglers are fishing all 9 opens?
We did touch on that a little bit. Heard through Low Budget Live that there's 170.
Yep, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is. That's a lot. I was thinking, my guess before it all started, say they had 86 or 87 this last season fish all 9. I thought that number might increase by a little, but I thought 120 was a max number, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And 170 is like, wow.
Yeah, it's not necessarily discouraging to me, but it's interesting to know that that's where we're at, even with the economy being so tough, supposedly. I remember talking to my buddy Oliver Nye, if you're familiar with him, about the Opens a couple months ago before I signed up, and he's like, 2 years ago there was only like 50 guys that did all 9, so
right.
I only had to beat 40, or I only had to beat 80% of the field to qualify, or 85 or something, and then he's like, last year it was only 70 some or 80 like that, I think. He's like, so I mean, they're taking guys from that, and half those guys probably are just there because they got a lot of money, and the other half are just going to naturally fish bad. It comes down to it. You have to just fish conservative. You have to fish consistently the rest of the tournaments. It's not insanely difficult to wrap your head around that. But then now it's like 175 guys. It seems like pretty much everyone will be in it for the same goal. It'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think. Shane kind of mentioned this earlier, not on the podcast. I mean, you're kind of talking at lunch about, I think it was Matt Pangrek that said if through the past couple of seasons, if you fished all 9, if you averaged a 54th place finish, and on average, across all 9, then you would make it. And when you hear that, it's like, well, man, that doesn't sound
that hard. But you're
trying
trying
too
to
hard.
Finish top 50 out of 225 people.
Correct.
I mean, I know
that's where it gets difficult. That's where it gets.
There's only 170 fishing all 9, but you still are going to have 220 guys out there.
Correct.
Of course.
Because you're going to have the locals jump in.
And I'll tell you, man, I'm sure you know this from talking to guys in the Opens. Shane's fished Opens. I fished a few this season. They're ruthless. It's
savages.
It's cutthroat, dude.
Don't wrap your boat unless you have to. No, I'm sorry. I didn't say that.
No, it is cutthroat. Nobody cares, man. They don't give you a whole lot of room.
Savages.
It's people come in on you. It's a wild place. But I just think that's how it is now, man. Like, it's crazy, dude.
There's clearly a lot of guys that have the same end goal, and like Pangrak was talking about on Bass Talk Live, isn't it crazy that we have 170 guys that have signed up, made this $30,000 to $50,000 traveling expense financial commitment, and they haven't even released the payout schedule yet. They could literally be like, "Oh, you get $100 for first place," and we would have to settle for that. Like that's crazy to think about. I don't know. It's a weird time in professional bass fishing where the organizations have so much power,
all the power,
and there's not really. I mean, you have NPFL that came about. There's obviously rumblings and has been since the start about their financial state.
Well, that's a terrible payout.
But you have thousands of people that want to fish professionly. I mean, I can't imagine what the wait list is like to get in. You had those 170 do it, but how many more wanted to do it? And we only have 2 organizations basically, and then NPFL if they have any spots available.
Right.
And if they're going to continue going on, like we can't grow as a sport and become valid across all of mainstream sports if we have all these different organizations. Yeah. If we keep growing into different organizations, but we can't. The organizations that exist can't support the number of people that financially are willing to commit and sacrifice their money to do it. And then where does that leave the tens of thousands of high school and college anglers that are going to come out, and whatever percentage of them are going to want to fish professionally when there's already thousands of people on these wait lists that can't even get into the tournaments at the upper level. So It's a weird place that we're in.
I think you said it right when you said the organizations have all the power, and I think that as anglers we've allowed it to get to that point, and
Correct.
And you know it's Shane's mentioned it for probably a couple years now, man. And at first it sounded like, that's a little crazy, but it's like, man, it kind of starting to make sense. Like the MLB has players associations.
Yeah.
The NFL has player associations. Like, where is our player associations to speak for us, you know?
Yeah, I hate to use the word union, but essentially.
Yeah, I mean, they lock out in the MLB for a reason. When the players don't like something, they lock out, and they put their foot down and say, we don't play until this is fixed.
Yeah.
And that is how it is.
Of course.
And I think the reason you'll never see that is because of this next, like you just said, the organizations have all the power, and it's this next man up. This deal we got going in bass fishing, because just like you said, we've got here. Let's just break it down like this: you've got 100 guys on the elites, 150 at the invitational level. You can throw in there. You've got how many are on the BPT? Not even 100.
80.
So you're at 280, or no, you're about three. Let's just say 300 ish.
Yeah.
And then you can add the NPFL in there if you'd like. Let's just say at max, and we're going to shoot the number high. 450 guys. There's 450 jobs available at the professional fishing level, and you've got thousands and thousands of guys trying to do it, just like Ben alluded to. So what do you think's going to happen if you're like, oh, well, I'm sick of this, I'm not fishing it? Well, see ya. We got another guy to fill your shoes.
Be like the replacements with Keanu Reeves.
Yes. We got another guy to fill your shoes. It's going to take not only those 400 to 500 guys that have a professional fishing job, but it's going to take all the guys past that to put their foot down and agree upon it. And that's just like almost impossible to do because of the careers they built and things of that nature.
Yeah, of course.
But it is true. That is the truth, though.
Yeah, they have all the power, man. And I think, I don't want to ruffle any feathers here, saying anything bad about anybody, but obviously I think when the Bass Pro Tour was created, I think that was like we're the fishermen's organization, and we're going to stick it to the man, and we're going to have no entry fees with all these payouts, and we're going to have a huge TV deal. And
that didn't last long.
That obviously fell flat on its face and didn't last long at all. It actually went the other direction when
I think
bills got in people's eyes, you know.
I think we were pretty close to having 200 guys fish all 9 opens if they wouldn't have agreed on whatever going to that 5-fish deal. I'm sure you heard about that a little bit.
Yeah, MLF. Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan Lee and Gerald Spohr were the guys that kind of
were the advocates.
Yeah, they were the ones that went to Boyd and were like, "Hey, man, we're not happy."
We need 5.
Yeah,
that was a good move. It was a good move. But I mean,
I really wish they would do away with their format of how many days the tournaments are over. They're so hard to follow. I wish they
very
would
hard
do
to follow.
3 or 4 day in a row. You know, just like not everyone else does. Days. I know they want to be different, but it makes it so hard to follow.
It is. It does, for sure.
It's a lot. It's honestly
let them all fish.
It's a mess, the whole industry. Because I listened to Zaldane. He's got a podcast out there, the new one. But I listened to Zaldane, and who was that talking with him? It's his wife, of course, but then
the guest.
Yeah, it's
Matt Herron.
Matt Herron.
Yeah. And
they said the same thing about bass. They said, what happened? When all these guys left for the BPT, they promised us this. Hey, rookie, he literally, all you got to do is listen to his podcast. It says, hey, rookie, we're glad to have you here. Hey, man, glad you stayed. Hey, man, we're doing all these things, and here we are just a few years later, and they're back at the same spot they were. So it's just the same way over there.
Yeah.
You know,
it's there needs to be a little shake up, but I don't know. I don't know what to take.
What do you do?
I don't know. Here I am handing my money.
Yeah, we're the ones doing it.
Here's my money.
Here
we go.
Doing it. Here's our podcast to talk about. An idea.
We're gonna whine about it.
Supported this.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We need a players association, dude. Anglers association.
We'll talk to Ronnie. We'll get old Ronnie Moore. But hey, man, help us out.
What was it? They used to have that circuit for a while. The PAA?
PAA. Yep.
That didn't have anything to do with an actual anglers association. It's just another league that it was called that, really, right? Kind of like NPFL.
I don't remember what the story was on that, but they basically ran out of money.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I think Bass did a better job at raising the sponsor dollars.
I think the biggest thing too, like another thing that on that podcast when I was listening to them two guys, they talked about how there used to be more money in the sport. Like he watched guys win $1 million for a classic. Scott Suggs, right?
Yeah, he was $1 million man.
$500,000 for a classic, 400, and it's just slowly decreased. The entry fees have slowly raised up. The payouts have slowly decreased, and he said that they lost a lot of those big deals in 2008 when the
economy,
yeah, and they never
got them back.
They didn't do enough for them before that to get them back. So,
yeah, you're right. You have Walmart and stuff like that. But
correct, and that's a big point. That's a lot of money.
Man, I got all kinds of wild ideas. I mean,
how do you get those guys back? Would be probably the biggest question.
You definitely need non-endemics. There's not enough money. There's not enough money in the industry. You know, boat manufacturers, electronic manufacturers, Humminbird, Lowrance, Garmin, Skeeter, Ranger. There's not enough money to go around to the anglers themselves and the organizations to where you can have these big, heavy payouts. You need non-endemics like Walmart and stuff to come back, and Geico. And
he said it best. He said we all are supporting each other.
Yeah, we really are.
Anglers, the only reason
that's a good point.
We're supporting each other.
We're just giving each other money back at port.
He said we're all just rats on the wheel. As soon as we can't turn the wheel, they'll find another rat to jump on it.
Hey, that's a harsh way to look at it.
That's true.
Hey, man, I'm repeating what he said.
It's a good way to kind of bring it all full circle. Like, clearly, we are, as fishermen, spending $30,000 to $50,000 at this AAA level, traveling around, or even your weekend anglers that are spending tens of thousands of dollars going to BFLs, fishing local tournaments. We're dumping money into non-endemic, non-fishing industry companies, and we're not getting the money back. That's where the money's going.
That's very true.
Whether it's an issue with BASS, BASS, and MLF and NPFL not hiring the right people to go after these non-endemic organizations, or what it is, that seems to be the missing link in the chain. We are not acquiring those because, how are you going to pay $500,000 for a classic and $1 million for a Forest Wood Cup every year 30 years ago when gas was $1 a gallon?
Yeah.
And now it's less.
Entry fees weren't even close. They would have never even thought about $5,000 tournament. They would have never.
Correct.
They wouldn't even think that would be a thing.
Now what we're paying, the organizations are lowering the payout and raising the entry fee because they're having to spend more dollars on media and covering the tournaments and camera guys and boats and everything like that. Just so we can.
Dude, you're so right. I mean,
we can just go round and around on that rat wheel, just spending money on the organizations, paying ourselves less money, spending more money, and it all kind of just circles back around.
We'll spend more on fuel for the Opens than we will entry fees.
Yes.
Correct. And that's something it was kind of crazy. I remember when I started college fishing with FLW, it was right when they were getting out of it, but the National Guard was a sponsor way back in the day, and the payouts were unbelievable. We had these, they had like their 3 qualifying tournaments, and then if you got in the top 15, I think, in a qualifying tournament, you qualified for the regional, and then the regional top 10 qualified for the national championship. Well, the qualifying tournaments only had 50 boats in them, and they provided all the boats and boaters. FLW did. And so first place at those events was $25,000. This was with no entry fees because the National Guard sponsored it. Once again, with the regional, no entry fee, $50,000 for first place, and national championship was like $100,000. You got like the living the dream type package.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And everything. Just insane amounts of money. They got out of it, and then what was the year I was there? And first place for the qualifiers was like $500. I mean, that was with no entry fees, but just I think that's an example of a non-endemic getting involved that helped dramatically. And once they were gone, man,
yeah, for sure,
it's been crazy.
Yeah, we need some change, but until then, we'll just be plugging away, just whining about it.
Hey, man, Brandon Belt Fishing. Brandon Belt Fishing. That's my title sponsor. He's coming.
Yeah, he's
trying.
He's trying.
He's trying.
A little better payout, no doubt, but he's going to need to find money for non-endemics to support that trail.
But he is trying.
But he's trying to build it up first.
Yep.
I mean, we could go on for hours. We always end up cycling back to this because it's a great topic. It's our main problem in the fishing industry. So
yeah, that should be the main topic for everyone.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we always end up talking about this. Somebody needs to listen, dang it. How about community coffee?
Oh.
We got a community coffee cup
exactly.
here.
Well, man, I think that was awesome.
Yeah, no, that turned out great.
Awesome show.
Appreciate your time, man. We're going to cut you loose.
Had a good time, guys. Anytime you want to have me on, talk about whatever, I'm an open book.
Yeah, man.
Awesome,
I'm sure
bro.
there'll be more to talk about throughout the season, so
Yes, sir.
we'll get
For
it
sure.
going. I'm actually gonna pack up after this and head to your famous OH Ivy here. Later
Yeah,
today.
Shane's going to OHI for 3 or 4 days.
Nice, man. Have fun with that. Sounds like not sucking right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it's sucking for some people out there for sure.
I'm free for the next couple of days. My buddy Chuck, he always does this. It's the last minute. He texted me literally at lunch. He was like, "Want to go to Ivy today?" I was like, "You know what? I don't have a good reason to say no, so I guess the answer is yes." I'll
Hey,
see
man,
you in 7 hours.
It's not all out there though. It's there's good ones everywhere. I caught 4 double digits last week within probably an hour and a half. You guys. So.
Awesome.
Okay, I'll call you back here in a few minutes when we're off here.
Well, all righty, man.
Dude, I
Thank you
appreciate your
again.
time.
Thank you again.
You bet, guys. Take it easy.
All right, see you.
Good show, man.
Not bad considering we haven't done it in 2 months.
I know.
Oh,
But that was a lot of that. What we talked
dude,
about at the end was
I saw
straight.
us peering off into a rabbit hole,
Yeah.
and I was about to go further down there, and I was like, you know what? I got to get
Hey,
on
no,
the road.
but I do agree. Right, that what we talked about at the end is very important, and to listen to Matt talk about that was, he's one of the guys that's been
yeah,
seeing
he's been
everything
around.
in
He's been in the game.
and that's why when he said that, he's so right. Like he hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, we need change, kids.
We all are just supporting each other.
Got to get together, like that Michael Jackson video. We're all holding hands around the world.
I have no idea what that is.
Oh yeah, you were like, it's. Never mind, don't worry about it.
I'm sure a lot of
Do you even know who Michael Jackson is?
Yeah, I know who Michael
Okay,
Jackson
just
is.
checking.
Come on now.
Were you born in like 2005?
95.
Anyway,
I think that about covers it. I
think-
don't want to tell y'all when we're going to do another one because I'd
No point.
probably be lying.
we'd definitely be lying.
You
I don't even know when I'm gonna upload this because I'm literally gonna close
need
this
to do
computer
it tonight.
No, I'm leaving. I'm
Oh,
going
you're-
straight to my storage unit, packing up my boat.
Oh, wow.
And
Man, if I wasn't going duck hunting,
yeah, I'm very disappointed in your decision to go duck hunting.
I need some time away.
I'm sorry for all those that are duck hunters out there. Y'all
It
want
is
to chase
duck
these
season.
tiny little flying pieces of doo-doo meat.
Some of them are good.
No, I mean,
Yeah, teal.
teal are okay if you
Woodies.
soak them in brine for 24
Woodies
hours.
are good. Teal.
You probably like bottom feeders,
No.
spoonbills and
No,
stuff.
but I will shoot them. That's me and Easton and a couple of us say.
Duck hunters are wild, dude.
Feet hanging, we banging, son.
Duck hunters are wild.
Feet hanging, we banging.
I'm just deer and fish, man.
Yeah. Well, guys, we might be moving this podcast to a whole nother scenery here. Because Shane likes to blame it on me not coming down here, but we'll see if we move this joker to my place if he comes up that way.
You don't even have a place.
Oh, yeah.
Where?
Easy E. Doesn't say we can put it right there.
Right where?
Right in the middle.
In the living room?
We'll put it wherever we want.
No, man. Then there'll be too many distractions. We have Dragolski over there doing weird things.
We will find a place in that, and we will get this thing going.
I'll leave that up to you.
Well,
This is what Captain Ron and I, and you helped a little bit. This is what happens, when you get the adults on it.
well, we can move this adult put together scene and go put it somewhere else.
Find a spot.
Anyways, guys, we're gonna get one kicked out here pretty quick.
We're not going.
Yeah, we are.
We'll see you in a month, maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe when Wyatt's down here practicing for Brandon Belt in 45 days.
I will be out here practicing. He's worried about it. You gotta have the ace out here. He is right. You gotta have the ace looking around.
Put the ace in. That's comical.
All right,
All right,
guys.
kids.
Till next time.
Bye.